2, 1. Hey, what is up, guys? Alex here from Tech Inspected, coming to you with a unboxing, first impressions, a quick look at this little teeny tiny little thing. This is a power station that is like the size of my hand. This is the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini, and size means something because it's got 200 watts of AC output. 200 watts is not a lot. If you are browsing your web browsers on your desktop, you're probably using 200 watts. And it only has 128 watt hours. 128 watt hours is not a lot, okay? But I'll explain that a little bit more later. This is priced at 7,899 Philippine pesos, or about 135 US dollars. But I got it off Lazada with a bunch of vouchers, and I got it for only 5,400 Philippine pesos, or 92 US dollars. And I got a little bag for free. Look at this tiny bag. My head is bigger than this tiny bag. It's a nice freebie though. So anyway, this is a super teeny tiny power station. It's got 200 watts of AC power. There, right there, right there. 128 watt hours of battery. That is not a lot of battery, okay? But it has USB Type-C with 100 watts output, so you can charge, your MacBooks or whatever type of high-end USB Type-C device you have. And it got a couple of USB-A and a USB-C 15 watts. And typical power stations has a lighter socket right here, but they've opted for a smaller DC barrel plug, 5521, which outputs 5 amps. So 12 volts, 5 amps is, I think, 60 watts maximum. Here is one of the smaller power stations you can get today. And this is already quite lightweight. This is the EcoFlow River 3, 245 watt hours, 300 watts max output of the AC. You can get this for about 8,600 Philippine pesos, or about 147 US dollars. The white market UPS Philippine variant is 14,290 Philippine pesos, or about 244 US dollars. Now, is that worth it? Well, if you need something that goes up to 300 watts, maybe. If you don't need something that powerful, which I will tell you, you might need something more powerful because, well, 200 watts is not a lot. But is this enough to in the Philippines? During the, we've been getting typhoons, floods, earthquakes, and stuff like that. Maybe you're in a budget, you're a super budget, and you just want a power station that could power, your radio, your TV, electric fan, lights. This might be what you need. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. I know I've been rambling here for quite a bit. Quite affordable, if not the most affordable, tiny, teeny, Bluetooth app capable, decent branded little tiny power station. For, like I said, I bought this for 5,400 Philippine pesos with the little tiny bag. Let's go ahead and do the top-down camera before we get to there. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's talk about this guy. First impressions. Quick look. Okay, so this is what's inside the box of the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini portable power station. We have the warranty card, user manual, AC plug, and the power station itself. Pretty standard. I'm not even going to show you the box. All right, so this is what the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini looks like in front. Actually, this is the top part right here. It's just a little flat section where you can, put something over there, like your phone when it's charging, for example. Here is the front. You can see there's a big display, lots of information there. You can turn on certain buttons that will show certain data. Here is a DC output, DC 5521 standard barrel plug. On the bottom here, we have a row of USB outputs. This is the most powerful USB output, USB Type-C power delivery capability. Over here, we have two USB-As that are 15 watts. I believe these are shared, so this is total 15 watts. And then a USB-C with 15 watts. So total over here is 30 watts. Now we have three buttons, one power button. Power button turns on the power station. DC turns on the DC outputs, which I assume is all of these right here. This is the AC button right here. If you press that, you can see it lights up green, and it will turn on the AC output over here on the right side. A lot of this stuff can be controlled using an app, Bluetooth app. Here is your AC input. So using this AC plug, this is where you would charge your power station using AC. And it charges at, I believe, 150 watts maximum. Do you wonder what this is? It looks like an accent, but it's actually a light. So it can do blue light or yellowish light. And then it can do a little SOS light, and then you press and hold to turn it off. So here is where you will find your solar input, right? So this is a typical XT60 solar input. A lot of solar panels either use MC4 connectors, or they would get an MC4 to XT60 solar input. Bluetti says you might be able to charge the Elite 10 Mini 128 watt hour battery from 0 to 100% using a 100 watt solar panel in about 90 minutes. And I believe they say it's like 70 minutes using 150 watts on AC charging. Car charging, it's the same, 100 watts. When you use a car charger, you also go XT60 input, and you also get about 100 watts, meaning you charge this thing at about 90 minutes. So it's now on, and then we're going to turn on the AC output. Right. So now the AC output should be out, and there is our light. So, as you can see, our electricity is 228 volts, 229 volts, 60 hertz, right? As you can see, the light bulb is 9 watts rated, and according to our watt meter, the entire circuit is using 10.5 watts. So it's saying we have 5.8 hours powering this 9 watt light bulb, and it's giving us the data of the output wattage through the AC inverter is 11 watts. Now, typical power stations, they don't tell you how much the inverter is using, and it might even be more than 9 watts. So we might even be using 30 watts total because the inverter takes up some power from the battery. Okay, so behind me, there is an electric fan running at the first level of its power, and it's plugged into the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini. And it's using 84 watts. And based on the calculations I taught you earlier, 86 watts will deplete this battery in about 1.2 hours, right? And if we turn up to the maximum power, it's using about 100 watts, which will run the battery out in about 1.1 hours. Okay, so now behind me there is a TV, a 43-inch 4K HDR TV from Sony running from the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini. 4K HDR will probably peg the power station a little bit more, but we'll find out how much a 43-inch HDR 4K TV uses on the Bluetti. It's using about 110 watts. This is an induction cooktop. We are boiling some water and making yakisoba. And this is one of those household appliances that you can definitely not run with a Bluetti Elite 10 Mini, because based on the power station that is running this induction cooktop, we are using 1,300 plus watts. Wattage used for microwaving something medium setting is about 1,000 watts. Okay, now we're trying to boil water with an electric kettle, and the wattage that we're using is about 1,550. So also another appliance that you cannot run with the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini. That being said, there's a Luigi out there. Luigi. Okay, so here we have a very small refrigerator. This is essentially a single person refrigerator. A typical Filipino home with maybe 2, 3, 4 occupants would probably need about 3 times or 4 times the size of this refrigerator and would probably need a lot more wattage. This is a little bit more lesser usage of power. This is 98 liters, 3.46 cubic feet, and the highest wattage we got is 68.1 on the watt meter, but that is a lie. These types of refrigerators, particularly the non-inverter ones, have a large surge current or inrush current that is about 4 times their highest rated watting. So I'm gonna unplug it from the wall, and we just heard the compressor turn off. We're gonna turn on the Bluetti, turn the AC on, hear the click of the AC, there it is, and we plug it in. Immediately we get a warning light, a couple of warning lights right here. Upon reading the manual, our errors are overload and system fault. So system fault is just a generic fault number, and overload means it's using too much wattage. If you're somebody who wants to power a refrigerator, a very small refrigerator with the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini, that's not gonna be a possibility unless you have a really small refrigerator or maybe an inverter and really small refrigerator at the same time. So this is not something I would suggest for somebody who wants to power their refrigerators to keep their food fresh during a power outage. Okay, so the compressor is starting. I can hear the compressor running. It's using 46 watts right now, up to 60 watts. So we're almost taxing this 5 amp DC output. And there it is. It just started and it's taking 76, 78 watts. So 93 watts. Okay, so here is probably the best scenario of how the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini should be put to use. This is probably the way it's meant to be used is during a power outage, and let's say you're working from home or you're doing your homework or other office type work or school work. Here we have a USB Type-C powered laptop and it's taking about 60 watts. We have a 5G router, and then we have a small electric fan to keep ourselves cool during the power outage. Now, you're saying it's too dark, what should I do? Well, you do have a light at the back of the Bluetti Elite 10. And you just press this button and now you have a light. It is booting. 98 watts. Come on, come on, come on. 112. You can do it. Maybe I do need to power this also. 160, 166. Oh, I'm scared. 170, 182. Oh, we made it. We made it. 160 watts. It can boot a desktop of this caliber if you have a small monitor. Awesome. So once I unplug this, it should switch over to the battery. And we didn't die. Our desktop didn't die. So that keeps your important documents that you're editing, still running. So you now are able to save your document and turn off your computer. Okay, so this is the app of the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini, and this is the only option I found where we can change the charging mode. I set it to turbo. It doesn't tell me if this is for AC charging, solar charging, or car charging. I think everything is just turbo at this point. There's no granular information about how many you can limit it to watts or anything. So it's pretty basic, but it might do the job as long as we get 100 watts from this. And here we go. We are getting 98 watts, ladies and gentlemen. We're generating them solars. Mario, how am I gonna do my video if you're rolling around in the grass, boy?
Okay, so here we are inside a running automobile. I'll turn this off so it doesn't make a lot of noise. And we're gonna charge the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini, or at least test the charging capabilities of the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini using a lighter socket charger. Now, keep in mind, the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini does not come with this cable or the solar cable that we used earlier. So you're gonna have to buy one of those for yourself as an accessory to the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini. They don't come in the box, and we are charging at 98 watts. So
Okay, so what we have right here is a pure sine wave test using an oscilloscope of the 220 volt output of the Elite 10 Mini. And as you can see, 60 hertz, pure sine wave. It's better to have a pure sine wave for all appliances, and especially for sensitive appliances. They might break if you're not using pure sine wave output. And then we're going to try this cooktop again, or pot. And then it starts 190 watts right now. Couple seconds. And then it triggers an overload. So it does handle a little bit more. I don't know, 5 seconds of the load. But ultimately, it can't handle even just a little hot pot. Okay, so obviously, if you have a power station or a power bank, you sometimes would want to travel with them, and that sometimes involves airplanes. Now, airplanes, obviously, they need to keep safety in mind, and because of lithium-ion battery fires recently, they have to crack down on batteries inside airplanes. So, in most of the world, majority of the world, you cannot bring batteries, lithium-ion batteries, larger than 160 watt hours. And in fact, a lot of airlines will only allow anything below 100 watt hours. So the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini is 128 watt hours. So it actually hits into a category of requiring airline approval before you bring it in. So as you can see here, this is from the Philippine Airlines website. You don't need an approval for any power bank below 100 watt hours. So if you're using a typical lithium ion power bank, that is a 27,000 milliampere battery times 3.7 will get you just under 100 watt hours. So you can bring a lithium ion battery of 27,000 milliamps. This is 128 watt hours, so it is above 100 watt hours. So now you need approval required. As you can see, limited to 2 pieces only. Here is Cebu Pacific. They have the same rules up to 100 watt hours. And then it says here, if you want to bring a power bank between 100 watt hours and 160 watt hours, please request approval. And then here is Cathay Pacific. I think Cathay Pacific allows 160 watt hours without asking for approval, but I would err into the side of caution and ask the staff before bringing something like the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini. Okay, so here's a quick physical size comparison between the EcoFlow River 3 and the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini. Now, these are obviously not the same size of battery and inverter, but if you're just looking for the smallest power station with an AC inverter, the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini might be winning that crown. It's essentially 40% smaller than the EcoFlow River 3. Let's bump it up to 210 watts and see if the Bluetti can handle charging our EcoFlow at 210. Let's try 220 watts. So the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini is actually sort of over invertering, or has a more powerful inverter. Oh, there it is. Did it? Yeah, it just crashed. So looks like you can pull at least about 210 reliably on the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini, but it's sort of hard cap. It's about 220 watts. Okay, so that's about it for our actually some rather detailed first testing, comprehensive testing, except for some capacity tests on the Bluetti Elite 10 Mini. I think it's an excellent, technically created product by Bluetti. They've created something small and lightweight. I don't know what it's for necessarily. It's such a small power station. 128 watts and 200 watt AC inverter. Essentially, it'll power you for a couple hours if you are very light on power. Like if there's a power outage in your area and you only need to power a fan, a light, and maybe a laptop or a phone, but power banks exist also. So this is also encroaching in the realm of just the size of power banks, because you typically just power USB devices in a power outage. What would you power with 200? Oh man, I'm rambling again. I think this is great for backpackers, assuming the backpacker has a 220 watt or a AC plug that he needs to power somehow. Backpackers would probably just bring USB devices. So, this is going round and round. It's got solar power, 100 watts, so I guess that's fine. I mean, the EcoFlow River 3 is 100 watt solar as well. So if you just have a solar panel that's 100 watts, this could do the job. And you just power your USB devices. Though power banks cannot charge via solar. I found the reason for buying this. Backyard camping, if you got kids and your kids just, oh yeah, I'm gonna build a tent and go to my tree house, and oh no, it's hot in here and my tablet, dad, is gone, is no more power. You bring them one of these, I guess. You get an electric fan for the kid, you get power for the tablet. Daddy, I can stay here forever, or something like that. If you're a moto vlogger, you have a small little, the box behind your motorcycle. This will fit in there perfectly fine. Obviously, you can put maybe bigger power stations in there, but this is a great little size. And assuming you just need something during your motorcycle trip that needs AC power, because I don't understand why the AC is there. Just bring a power bank if you don't have AC requirements. If you're a commuter, if you take the bus cross province, you go to a hotel, plug this in, charge your power bank. It's just like a power bank, except you have AC in it. I don't know the specific niche requirement for somebody who wants this, the size of a power bank, but has an AC inverter in it. Let's go back to the solar. Yes, it's got solar. So bring your solar panels around. Backyard camping, picnics, backpackers, moto vloggers, assuming you want solar and AC inverter. That's about it. It's nice. Oh, you can put it in your nightstand as well. So if your nightstand, you don't have a charger by your nightstand, and occasionally you would wake up and the power is off, this is a good little thing. You can charge your phone and then turn on the light during your power outage and you'll be okay. You'll be safe. I guess if it's an emergency, this is a good little thing right next to your nightstand. That's about it though. Power banks are a thing. And this might be too small to consider as a actual thing that you would plug multiple appliances to. I'm rambling again, but anyway, Alex here from Tech Inspected. Like, comment, subscribe. Link in the description for things like this and other things that I've shown in the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Okay. Hold up. There is one use case I figured out. If you have like a CPAP machine, like if you have like an oxygen machine or something when you're sleeping, or other medical.
Continuous positive airway pressure machine is a medical device.
Shut up!
By delivering a steady stream of pressurized air through a mask to keep your airways open.
Who asked Gemini? God damn. Stupid bot.